What's going on out there? How y'all doing? This is another series of No Feelings, Just Facts. I'm your own Clevonne. Miss Tosha V on the scene. Our own Mr. Ron is not present. This is No Feelings, Just Facts, where we encourage a new wave of thinking, healing, and overcoming fears so that you can progress to your next phase of where you need to be.
Well, come on, intro.
Yeah, I mean,
You've been working on that, huh?
It was the spirits. So we got our own Sister Monique coming back on the scene. Zakiya Monique coming back on. This is
Hello,
Zakiya
hello,
Monique.
everyone.
Yeah, she is a life coach, motivational speaker, and community philanthropist. This woman is still one of the dopest people we've gotten to know thus far.
Yes.
And we appreciate you for being on with us as well, especially as we tackle these this new dialogue. It's a common dialogue, but it's a new dialogue. And the reason I say it's a new dialogue is because people talk about things that they don't deal with.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a person constantly complaining about how their situation is, but they don't do nothing about it. And what we want to do today is we want to move forward with figuring out, how do I get over this thing? So today's topic is challenges of healing, the challenges of healing, because many of us constantly talk about what we want to do, what we want to be, and we have not stepped into our purpose. And y'all caught me off guard last week. I want to give both of y'all props. Okay. I'm going to say I was in the spirit. It was the spirit that caught me. But y'all, seriously, with the dialogue that you both were talking about, it really touched me for myself because I'm in that wave of healing right now. I'm in that transition. So me being, a factual person telling you, when you're going through healing, that's a different wave of life. Mm-hmm. Seriously. And everything we speak about is what? Experience, not opinion. And so through experience, we understand, okay, what does it take? Because a lot of people have opinions, but nobody have experience. Everybody has an opinion of what they think you should do, but they've never done it themselves. And that's what we're talking about right now. What does it take for me to do that from experience?
Mm-hmm.
The first step. Go ahead, Monique.
Go ahead, Tasha.
I was just going to say, for me, the first step was identifying the source of the pain. That was my first step, where I really had to be like, why am I reacting this way? Why am I moving this way? Why do I feel this way? So I have to identify the source. Okay.
So now here's one of those things really quick I want to interject, because we always know what the issue is and know what the source is, but we blame the source and everything, but we don't tackle it. That's my number one issue. We don't necessarily tackle it.
I don't believe we always know the source, though. See, that's the thing.
Okay.
In Tasha's case, it's great that she was able to identify the source herself. But most of the time, we don't know the source, or we're not healthy enough to identify it as the source.
Okay.
So if you are not that healthy, because it's different levels to being wounded. It's different levels of the damage, right? So let's start there. That all damage is not created equal. So sometimes it may be where you are so wounded and so damaged, and it also depends on who damaged you too, because when your parents damaged you, when there has been damage at the foundational level, you don't see things the same, you don't hear things the same, and then you automatically feel like everybody else is going to do you the same way, because if my mama and daddy could do me this way, then what do I expect from the world? True. But if you were hurt intimately, that's a different type of hurt than if you were hurt foundationally. But a lot of times when you're hurt foundationally, especially, you almost don't know how to recognize it because it's normal. So you've sat in that degree of dysfunction for so long that you think this gotta be normal. This is what people do. And then what I think is, and what was good for me, was support. So I had the right amount of people and the right type of people around me that would hold me accountable, or would say, hey, they would help me identify. Because the peril and the challenge, one of the biggest challenges of healing, is that we are not always able to understand the damage as something that we aren't doing. So I'm gonna give you an example. There's a young lady who is severely damaged, but you know what she says to everybody else? You all take me for granted. You don't see, you're not, I'm doing everything I can for people, and they're just using me. You know what I'm saying? So they become the victim. So if you're not careful, the person who needs to heal will become the victim and feel like everybody else around them is the problem. And that's why you have to have the right amount of support so that they can say, no, that's not true. Because when you're in something, you don't see it the way that you do if you're outside of the situation looking in.
Yeah, and let me interject this really quick, because you just touched on a point that I constantly bring up: support. I constantly bring that up. When you said I have people around me that held me accountable, and you got to have people that hold you accountable, but people that you trust as well that can hold you accountable. And that's where a lot of people fall short at a lot of times too, because they don't have the right element of support. When you don't have the right element of support, it goes even more left. That and I really wanted to touch on that too, because like you said, having that support. If a person has family support, the rest of it don't matter. If a person has spousal support and no family support, okay, I got the support to get through. So having some sense of support, but you're not scratching and clawing trying to get it from every little place.
I have a question for both of you, because we're going to go back to what you just said. You said that you have to have people around you you trust, right?
True.
But go back to what Monique said when she said if the damage was foundational.
True.
So because your parents violated your trust, now you have trust issues.
True.
So you could have people, actually good people around you, but you don't trust anyone. How do you deal with that?
Well, there are degrees of trust as well. See, I may not trust you to hold my purse, right? Because you got a little crack problem, a little bit. So I don't trust you to hold my purse. But you know what I'm saying? I may trust you to fix something. You know what I'm saying? I may not trust you. So when it comes to trust you to do what? You know what I'm saying?
Very true.
We may be hurt and wounded, but we know from the way that this person is stand up and solid that they're going to tell me the truth. I might not want to hear it, but because of how they carry themselves, I trust them to tell me the truth. You see what I'm saying? So when people say I don't trust anybody, when you say that's not true, because when you get outside in a car, you trust that everybody else is going to follow the rules. Otherwise, you wouldn't want to drive because you would automatically be in an accident. See, when we say we don't trust anybody for anything, that's not true. You see what I'm saying? We just are wounded and we don't trust them with our hearts.
Very
that's
true.
That's really what it is.
Very,
I don't
very
trust
true.
you with my heart. I don't trust being vulnerable with you. But I do trust you to tell me the truth.
Let me interject this one really quick too, off of your question. If I've been hurt as a child by my mother hurt me from the words she said and constantly just bashed me. But going back to piggyback off what she said about as far as the degrees of trust, I know that you don't have the capacity to compliment me. We can deal with that. But if I am in a crunch and things fall apart, I know for a fact you wouldn't hesitate to back me up. And that's a lot of times people don't even have half of that. Don't even have half of that. So I've not only been broken by my relative, my mentor, my mentor is supposed to have my back. My mentor is supposed to support me, and I fall apart. My mentor tell me, you're effing dumb. That's your effing fault. You shouldn't have been there. You shouldn't have done this. And so you're looking for, okay, I'm trying to get out the hole. And they like, well, what's the problem? So now you give them the whole rundown of the problem. And they be like, well, you should have came to me last week. I don't know. Good luck. But these are the same people that you will go out your way for too. So do I have a level of where I got any security with this person? Or they just constantly give me advice for their benefit?
So what steps should one take in order to break that cycle?
Breaking that cycle, let me tell you something. That right there is a whole nother monster. And I'm speaking from experience of being in the middle of that. Being in the middle of that. First of all, you got to get to a level of what one of you just said as far as identifying people where they are, for one. But two, you can't be accessible. You can't be accessible. When you're constantly accessible to that hurt, that because a lot of people are so desperate for that reassurance. They want the reassurance so bad that they keep going back to the situation even though it hurts.
So how would you identify the people in your life that you need to just cut off?
You do know.
I said, how would you identify?
Well, when you say identify, sometimes you don't just cut them off right away. That for me, I'm saying for me myself, sometimes you just don't cut the people off right away because you don't have nothing else to gravitate to. Okay. Remember when I was sharing with you and I said, I finally feel safe enough to finally start healing because I tried to heal in the presence of the people I was supposed to trust. The people that were supposed to have my back really didn't have my back, so I never could really heal. Because every chance they get, they're gonna peel the scab back. So I can't even trust them enough to even heal around them. So you gotta be able to get synchronized with people and situations that will allow you to be safe enough to heal.
What do you think, Monique?
You also have to adjust your expectations. You have to check in with your expectations because at the end of the day, sometimes I think we're expecting too much from people, right? If I'm giving you an example, if you said you had a business, right, or you have a podcast, okay, and you say, okay, I got this podcast, and I say, oh, I'm so excited for you guys. I want to support you as much as I can, right?
Okay.
And then, you get in the thick of things and you're like, so can you come to the podcast? I'm like, that's not how I wanted to support you. See, sometimes where our expectations are not where they need to be simply because we think that a person is going to support us in this way and their definition of support is something different.
Very true.
We have to start being honest about where people are and looking at what they do instead of what they're saying. And I think that's the first order of business is, am I expecting too much from you? And if you cannot give me what I'm asking, okay, now we move forward. Because if you can't meet any of my needs, then now we got another issue. Right.
Ooh,
so
that's true.
I think the first order of business is expectations because I think that we're expecting some things from people that don't have it. See, there's a difference between I don't have it to give you versus I'm refused to give it to you. If I don't
that's
have
what I was
it,
talking about.
You know what I'm saying? If I don't have it, like when some of our parents didn't have it. Okay. And that's why we need to get into the sink of forgiveness because they didn't have it. There's a difference between I didn't have it versus I wouldn't give it if I had it. And so we have to learn to differentiate between that. And then that's also how we start to decide who to cut off. Because if you wouldn't give it to me, even if you had it, now that's another situation. And we got to talk about that.
And that's why I was alluding to right there. That type of person right there who would have it and will not give it to you, even if your life depended on it. Some people, I've watched this throughout my life where we would deal with a lot of drug addicts around the neighborhood, right? People would give the drug addict just enough so they can keep coming back. They would not give them $20. They would give them $5, $3. Person running on E, they ain't not going to help fill their tank. Or they're going to give them $3 so they can keep coming back. It's the crumbs to keep people coming back. Some people keep dangling the carrot in front of other people's face so that they can keep coming back. So like when I was telling y'all about the situation with the church, right? What they doing? If you act right, you can be in leadership. People do that. Some people do that. And when you say, do they have it to give? Now we're talking about somebody that you trust, not somebody that you don't trust. Now, when we're looking at the parental aspect of it, my mom being in the situation she is, okay, we know that she didn't have it. When she did have it, would she give it? Yes, she would. She would never hesitate to give it. But then when you look at somebody else and say, why didn't you come to me? Why didn't you talk to me? And every time you go to them, that's your bad. You shouldn't have came to me.
It's more to me because it sounds like you're speaking about finances, right? But
no.
Oh, okay. But like I had to get to the point where I viewed my mom as a woman and not my mom, right?
Ooh.
So it's like it set up a whole different appreciation for her.
Okay.
Because sometimes we get into a place where you're my mom, you were supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that.
Yes.
I never took the time to think this is a broken woman.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? She didn't have her mother's support when she got pregnant at 15.
Yeah.
She didn't know how to, if we encounter something, she didn't know what to do because it was never did to her.
True.
So I had to start seeing her as a woman. And then it gave me a different appreciation because now I can value what she did, you know what I'm saying, to nurture us. She gave us all she had. And then in my mind, I'm like, that wasn't enough, but that's all she had.
But you matured to be able to recognize that, though. You matured to be able to recognize that. I'm speaking from the standpoint of somebody that is a relative, somebody that you trust, and somebody that's encouraged me not to even trust my own mama. You kind of following the psychological role play. So go back to what Monique said earlier when she say, people, where's the foundation of it? The breaking of it at the foundation of it. So we get to a point too where we get so broken, like you said, with the lack of trust, that we do cut people off.
But how do we get past this? That's my question.
Okay. Go ahead, sis. Okay. Oh, she froze on us. Okay, well, okay. So when we look at how we get to the point of getting past of it, we got to get to just being honest with ourselves. I would always start being honest with yourself. That is one of the number one things I will always start with. Be honest with yourself, because I would be honest, but then make up a lie on the back end to validate the ignorance. I'm guilty of that. I have been guilty of that. So I'm constantly knowing the truth, knowing that this is not healthy, knowing that this ain't right, but what other support do I have?
Right.
That part really, really sucks a whole lot. And I had to learn too, going back to past tense situation, that when you've gotten to the point where you've outgrown, you know how people attack you? A lot of times people attack you because you've outgrown them in a situation. The only person who don't know it is you.
Monique's back with us.
So
am I back in?
Yeah, you back in. No problem.
She's in meta world. She's in meta. So
I don't know what's going on. I can't see you guys. But anyway.
Okay, go ahead and finish your thoughts, sis.
Oh, well, but here's the thing. The thing is, when you have to get to a point in your process where you stop. Okay. A very wise woman said that when you find yourself in a hole, you first stop digging. Okay. You don't start climbing out. You just got to stop digging first. You just got to stop. Then you got to say, okay, what's the issue here? You know, what is the issue and where do I want to go? Okay. And so if you are in a situation where these relationships are not serving you well, okay, and I'm not talking about one, because what usually happens is you usually will find yourself in a situation where it seems like this relationship is falling apart, this relationship is falling apart. And that's usually because you're going through transition. Now, if it's only one situation, then maybe it's just you and that person. But if you find that it's going on all around you, you're the one in transition. Okay. Okay. That's number one, because sometimes we see that happening and we start thinking everybody tripping around us. No, you're the one going through transition. Okay. Okay. Number two, if you find that, okay, these relationships are not serving me well, stop and ask yourself, is there a commonality in these relationships? Because again, it may be you, right? See, we don't ever want to stop and think that maybe it's just me. You know, I have a friend of mine was going through a situation, and I had to tell her, it's you. It's you. You know what I'm saying? Because all these people are around you because you continue to entertain them. All these people are using you because you teach people how to treat you. And so it's you. You can't keep on getting upset at these people. Now that you have grown to another level where you no longer people please, or you no longer want to be used or whatever, you know, you allow people to use you. Now you expect everybody around you to transform with you, and they don't. Yeah. They're still doing the same thing that they've been doing. We've been coming over and eating up your food. We've been, coming over drinking. What's the problem?
So let me ask you this real quick, because when we get to the point where we start drifting off to cutting off people from that hurt, based upon that particular hurt. So we're constantly cutting people off because we don't know how to deal with the hurt. And I can say from experience, it's much safer. It's much safer because you're already in a situation where you don't trust nobody or nothing. And I gave you guys the analogy earlier about the person who I valued the most. The person who I valued the most, who's the main one trying to get over on me too. So if the person who I valued the most is getting over and trying to manipulate, I'm trapped. Because what does true support look like? Some people don't know what it really looks like. That's the challenge mentally, when you don't really know what it looks like, when you don't even know what it is to fully be safe.
When you start setting boundaries in your life, right? Did he feel guilty?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because I was taught that you're, remember, go back to the church thing. You're supposed to forgive your enemies. You're supposed to let things pass. You're supposed to ignore different things when certain situations happen. So you get to a point where this is misconstrued for people to use you and get over on you.
But I think even outside of church, because you have a lot of people who don't have your church background, right? When we get into this space of healing or trying to heal, and we start trying to set boundaries.
Okay.
There's like, I don't know, Monique, you can speak on it from your experience, but there's like kind of like this level of guilt that sets in. Once you start making yourself a priority, why is that?
Because
a lot of it's training.
You operated for so long in the other way. See, here's the thing. If you've always said yes, the first time you say no, it feels foreign. Yes. It's because it's the first time you've done it. Okay. It's no different than the first time you go on a roller coaster. It's no different than the first time you do anything else. Okay. It's weird because you've never done it. But the more you do a thing, the more you practice a thing, then the more you don't feel any, different, because no is no. True. So the first time you say no, you say, no, I wish I could. And then you start trying to explain stuff, and then after a while you become more acquainted with no. And part of the problem is because the first time you say no, you expect for the backlash. You expect for them to not love you anymore. You expect for them to be upset with you. You expect for them to be disappointed with you. So it's not that you don't have a problem with saying no. You have a problem with what's going to come behind it. Mm-hmm. And so it's because you've never done it, and because you were taught these things that you are supposed to give if you have it. That's why God blessed you and all these different traditional things, whether it's religious or not, right? Because it's not always a spiritual thing. Sometimes it's just, well, you're supposed to be nice to people. Yeah. And we equate being nice with saying yes. And that's why I tell people there's no mandate that I've ever seen biblically that tells us to be nice. It says kind, because I can kindly tell you no. But nice used to mean stupid. Okay. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, if you look up nice, the origin of nice meant stupid back in Europe. And so ultimately, I don't have a mandate from God to be nice. I have a mandate from God to be kind, because I can kindly tell you no. But if you think about nice, everything surrounding nice means somebody getting what they want. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't always mean
so
ultimately.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish what you said.
So I was just going to say that ultimately it means that we have to get to a point where we don't follow feelings all the time.
Yes.
That's what it comes down to. And we have to be okay with the backlash. We have to be okay with the fact that they're going to be mad. We have to be okay. That's why so many people will establish boundaries but never enforce them, because they're afraid of being alone. They're afraid of losing friends or losing people. And going back to what Clevonne said, you valued that person most in the world, but a healthy relationship makes sure that before they invest in and pour into this person or even expect something of this person, they value them just as much. And the problem with that relationship that you had, Clevonne, was you valued them most in the world, but they didn't value you most.
But let me throw this one out there too, is I'm going to go back to a lot of it being the community. A lot of it being a community mindset. So when we bring up the church, okay, everybody don't go to the same church, but a lot of people in the community got the same mindset, whether they're on drugs, whatever their situation is, got the same mindset. How many people in the community are being protected? How many people in the community have seen the consistency that they need to see? A lot of them have not, right? So when we grow up, what do they always tell the women? You're a strong woman. You don't need no man. You don't need none of that. That's what I grew up and I personally seen. I heard that all my life. And I grew to say, so the women did not respect the men, right? In the homes. And then we go to the church, they don't respect the man. We in the community, they don't respect the man. So the man is obsolete. He don't need to be here. But we throw him a big party when he get out of prison. That is a psychological issue that I'm saying it persists on the regular. So when I'm looking at the person that I value, that I grew up with, that the person is supposed to be my mentor and father figure or whatever else, but all of this is wrong teaching.
It's crazy that you touched up on that, because especially being a Black woman and you're trying to go through this process of healing, you can be having a mental breakdown. And all I kept hearing is, oh, you're a strong woman.
Yes.
You can get through this. You're a strong woman. You're a strong Black woman. You're independent. That's the most disrespectful thing that anyone could have said to me at that time. Because no, I'm not strong. I'm resilient. It's a difference.
Yeah.
But I'm not strong. I don't want to be pressured to feel like, because I'm having a breaking moment now, because I'm trying to focus or get my mental, that I'm less than when I said, hey, I need help. Something's not right. And then they put it under this cloak of, oh, you're strong. No, I'm not. Can I have this vulnerable moment? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was so disrespectful to me.
Well, a lot of it is what we taught too. A lot of it is being taught, and we're always taught that strong people are the best. So, and I learned, okay, you're not strong by choice. A lot of people don't have no other choice. If I let this fall, everything's gonna fall apart. So you have no other choice, but people put that stigma on you so that they don't have to intervene to come even help sometimes. It's a laziness a lot of times, because most people don't know what to do, but they'll use their terminology. You strong, you okay.
Yeah, and more people, let's normalize saying, listen, I don't know how to help you, but I'm here to support you. Like, that goes a long way. If you tell me you don't know what to do to get me out this situation, but you'll support me, Like that goes so much further than just saying you're strong.
But that goes back to what you both just said too. Open up the door for it. And if you've opened up the door for the person to come in to be that support for you, that changes the game. But we have the mentality, if a person, say for instance, you have a falling apart moment, you breaking, and they say, you know, I can be there. No, I'm good. I'm cool. I'm strong. I got it. So a lot of times we will push away help unconsciously because we were taught that you don't need help. You're not supposed to have help. And that psychologically really breaks so many of us down across the board. So you have so many people who are psychologically broken, and then they're saying, well, I'm broken because I'm strong. I'll be all right. I'll be all right. And so you keep telling yourself you're going to be all right. And going back to what Zakiya said earlier, she was quoting the Bible. And what does it say in the Bible? It's not good for man to be alone. One man, it's not good for us to be alone. You had two people made a child. Two people are there. When you have animals have cubs, two of them are there raising those cubs. I'm just saying, we're meant to have support, but we in the communities encourage each other. You don't need nobody.
Yeah.
But we have to redefine support. What does it look like? See what I'm saying? The problem is sometimes we will say support, but what we really mean is I want you to do it for me. Sometimes we'll say support, but what we really mean is somebody who just agrees with me. Sometimes, so it just depends. You have to define what you call support. And then you have to be consistent in that definition. Even if you change it, you got to be consistent in your change. And you have to make sure that, because here's the thing, what the problem with relationships is two things. Number one, expectations and change. Okay. Number one, we are responsible for how we invest our expectations. If you don't properly invest your own expectations and you get disappointed, that's your fault. But we're not going to say that. It's their fault for hurting us is what we're going to say. But the question is, what did they show you before you invested these expectations? Did they show you can trust them that way? We have to have a process. We have to have a process in our relationships. I don't care if they're intimate or not. We have to have a process by which we define who we trust. We define who's in what area or phase of our life. I have different levels of my life that people get to be in. Okay. Everybody don't get to be behind the stage, because when you're behind the stage, you see everything that happens on the show, right? You see the stuff that was supposed to happen. You see the stuff that didn't happen. You see the clumsy stuff. You see whatever. Okay, everybody don't get to see that vulnerable moment of me, because everybody can't handle that and still allow me to be me. Then there are some people that's in the front row. Okay. And so those people in the front row, if you pay attention to the front row, they get to see a little bit more than people in the balcony, right? So you get to see a little bit more, but you still don't see as much as the people that were behind the stage. Then we have the people that's in the balcony back there. Okay. Where we're associates, we cool, but I know not to expect too much of you because you taught me that. Okay. And then you got some people outside at the ticket counter. They didn't get in. Okay. You didn't even get in. You didn't make the cut. Okay. And that's simply because, and those are sometimes where the relatives are. Okay, some relatives are outside waiting to purchase a ticket. So some church members are outside waiting to purchase the ticket. Why? Because you didn't show me that your grimy side. You didn't show me how you cut. You showed me I can't trust your word. So therefore, and let me say this: sometimes people are not in our lives for us to pour. For them to pour into us. Sometimes it's for us to pour into them. Those are ticket counter people, because you don't need to be in my life for me to, you don't need to have a front row seat for me to pour into you.
Well,
go ahead.
Go ahead and finish your point that you were making.
I was just going to say, sometimes what a person is in our life for, getting back to what Tosha said about cutting folks off, we have to be careful about cutting people off, because sometimes you fool around here and cut off your assignment. And it didn't have nothing to do with the person giving you anything. It was about you pouring into them. So we also got to ask ourselves, why is this person in my life? Because sometimes, I'll tell you from my experience, when I was in a process of healing, Okay. There was a young lady who was calling me, and because I was still a little wounded, I got used to her calling me and was thinking that it was about me and her bonding. But it was really about her getting what she needed, right? Okay. And it wasn't meant for us to bond or to be friends, because she didn't have it to pour into me. She just didn't. Long story short, when she got married and run off and we stopped talking, I felt used, right? I felt used. And I was like, she used me. God said, no, I did. I was like, he said, no, I used you. I used you to help her. So we have to stop and ask ourselves, hey, you know what I'm saying? Hey, what is this person here for? You know, if they're there for you to pour into them, is it the area that you pour into people in? This was the relationships. So that was why she was there, for me to pour into her in relationships.
Let me interject this one really quick too, which is one of the biggest controversial situations ever. Is, as a man, I've never been encouraged to heal. And the reason I say that, I've watched the encouragement for women to heal. And it's no diss to anybody, but when we look at the element of a man supposed to heal, and this is how you heal, it's never been a conversation. So it's already bad enough that my environment is broken, that my situation is broken, and I'm scratching and clawing looking for support and in the validation. But at the end of the day, I've never been encouraged to heal. I don't know many men, even my friends, that have ever been encouraged to heal, but we've been encouraged to go to prison. We've been encouraged to do everything so wrong and so backwards, even when I go to the church part. Not one thing talks about men healing, but there's always supports for women. And so through my own company, one of the things is when we try to get men to come in to start dealing with their issues, men don't do it because they don't trust, because they feel like they're going to be used. And many of the programs and things that are set already are set for women and children. And now we got the other communities that is set for, but it's not set for men. So it's always harder for men to get to that point where they can go heal and safely heal. So I'm speaking from experience to say, how do we get to reach the men so that they can start healing too? Because we say, oh, you should heal, you should do that. But the support and the guidance has never been there for men to heal.
We have from the beginning of time been men's weakness. Okay, from the beginning of time, a woman has been a man's weakness.
And you can help me heal.
Which means that we have the power. Listen, as a woman, you have power to do one or two things. You can influence or you can manipulate.
Yes.
Okay, one of the two. Now, where you are in your life and where your goals are and where your morals are will determine which one of those you pick. But as a woman, you can influence a man and you can set and establish a place where he can be vulnerable, where that man will open up everything to you.
Yes.
And he will, as long as he knows that he ain't got to worry about hearing it next
somewhere
week.
else. Yep.
As long as he knows that your best friend don't know all his business. As long as he knows, a man, you will get that man to open up to you as long as he knows that he has a place to be vulnerable and he don't have to worry about hearing it again.
If he can feel safe. And many men don't feel safe. I've been in marriage relationships. I've been amongst family. I've never felt safe as a man because it's already an issue to trust. What is expected of me in society's world? Society's world is I'm supposed to die for you. And we don't even talk about that because when a man goes to work and you tell him, you say, baby, we need a new roof. He'll say, okay. And he'll go get a new roof. He'll get up there, almost fall off 3 stories just to fix a roof for you because he want to make sure you're good. So I am taught that I'm supposed to work and I will die for you because that's my natural nature. But I am not in a position where I can start healing myself because I'm defined as weak if I start dealing with that.
But even with that, you being in the church or you were a part of a church, I think it's 1 Peter's, right? It says the wives are the weaker vessel. Weaker.
Supposed to be.
Listen to what I'm saying now. So even with that, weaker vessel is not saying that the husband is not weak. It's just saying the wife is the weaker vessel. So even if you're a person of faith, it's right there in the scriptures. It's saying that you're going to have weak moments. You get what I mean? So I don't understand why it's not being broken down in that way where men know that.
For the manipulation, though. From my background, I can speak for me. From my experience, it's the manipulation tactic. It wasn't encouraging men. See, the majority of support in church is what? Women or men? Women. The majority is women. So when you look at the congregation, women make up the congregation. Women make up the support. But you don't see many of the husbands come to the church. Why? Because a lot of them don't trust the situation. It's not welcoming for me, but it's welcoming for you. See, when you look at society and you look at a lot of things, a lot of people want you. They don't want me. You're more attractive. You're more enticing. You're more pleasurable. I'm more of a threat. So a lot of women will push their man to the side so that they can go serve. I want to serve God. I want to make sure I'm making it right for both of us, opposed to encouraging both of us. There's not too many environments that encourage the men to be there. So when we bring up the scriptural aspect of it, a lot of it is manipulated a lot of times. When you look,
but it's a two-part thing. It's two-part though, because I keep hearing you say that there's nothing for men to heal, but are you willing? See, if you never ever trust nothing, you know what I'm saying? You have to be willing. And at some point, when you get to the end of your rope, you say, okay, I need something to believe in. I need something. So it's a two-part thing. Yes, this is the first time in history when it comes to relationships. I can tell you about that. First time in history where women are like, we don't need your sex and we don't need your money. What else you got? And what's happening is a lot of women are finding that the men are not or have not done their work, right? They have not healed. And as a result, they're saying, I don't have nothing else to offer you. Because from the beginning of the time, all we've been done or been taught to do is to go work and to lay pipe.
But let me say, so from what I've seen, I've always seen that encouraged for women to not welcome the men though. From a child, from a kid up to a grown man, I've always seen the men not be welcome with that situation. So I can say I've always seen the division there. When we look at the fact of, like you say, I've seen women encouraged to heal. I've seen it, girl, get yourself together so you can go get you another man. Go get you together, get your degree. And I've heard all these different dialogues where you don't need no man, you don't need him, he don't need to be there. Why is he there? And I've watched this. So when we get to the heart of it and we say, okay, how do we get to the point where both of us heal? The point you made, Zakiya, earlier is you say a woman you have the power to encourage me to go left or right. If I don't have nothing else and I only have you, would you be willing to be what I need you to be? And a lot of times, a lot of women are not mature enough to do that. Not all. Everybody's not in the category.
It depends. It depends on if what you need me to be no longer allows me to be who I am. See, if what you need me, a real woman is willing. We're willing to help you.
I was just about to ask that question.
We're willing to help. Notice I said help. But the problem is now you drain me. Don't drain me. You see what I'm saying? I'm willing to help you heal, but then after a while, I'm dragging you to your healing.
What?
I don't want to drag you to your healing.
I
want you to be willing to go.
I got to ask this one really quick, because if you're looking at it like that, what type of man do you have that you're dragging? Because a real man, a real true man, if you are helping me, I would do everything in my life, chop my right arm off for you.
Wait, but that doesn't mean, not when it comes to healing. Healing is ugly. Healing is hard. And when it starts to get tough and you have to go through those trenches and talk about that sexual molestation and talk about some things that you thought you never have to bury, sometimes he get to backing up and he like, whoa, I didn't sign up for this. And now you got to pull him because you're like, no, baby, we made the commitment to do this thing. And he said, no, I don't want to do that. And you study pulling him saying, no, baby, we said we were going to do this thing. And after a while, I'm dragging you to your healing and I want it more than you. I don't think so.
A lot of women are forceful. Look at this. And this is a great teachable moment while we're doing this back and forth dialogue. When you approaching a man and you're saying, come on, you said we was going to start healing. He like, no, I don't want to deal with that right now. The caressing, if you are doing this right here, it changes. Baby, whenever you're ready to talk, we'll talk. So what happened when you was a kid? See, I got to get to the point where I feel safe enough. As a man. Because I don't know, you're forcing me to give you information that I don't know if you're going to mishandle it. So
what you don't understand, though, is every woman does not have the tools. She's willing to be there as your support, but she does not have the tools. Now, see,
there we go. That's what I'm saying.
I got the tools. So it's different for me because I got the tools on the coaching side. And then I also have the tools as a woman. But what happens when she's just a woman and this is not her area of expertise? She does not have the tools. So that means you have to couple your woman with a counselor, with a coach, with a therapist. And that's when men are like, I ain't going to see
all of us do need some type of mentor in our life.
Yes.
And I will always go back to that. All of us need some type of mentor in our life. So when we're looking at this aspect of you're giving so much, and a real, true, appreciative person, not even just a man or woman, a true appreciative person will not let you sink, will not let you fall apart. A real true person will look at it and say, wow, we tackled some real stuff. I'm down right now, but as soon as I get up, I swear to God, I'm gonna buy that car you want. Soon as
but that's only if I've been taught the realness of loyalty. That's only if I understand or value the appreciation of what you've done. And if I don't conclude the healing process, then I still may miss it.
See, there we go right there.
A lot of people. Yeah, this is why you have a lot of people who will come up and then leave that person. Why? Because number one, like Tosha made a point in a previous show, I only settled for you because that's all I could get at the time. And now I don't want you. I never wanted you. I want somebody else. Or sometimes a person didn't finish the process. And if they didn't, they don't value what you gave them. And then they will 10, 20 years later. But who finna sit there?
Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody. And we're all of age, right? We're all of age where we're having a different dialogue that was never had before. Now we're talking about stuff that was never talked about prior to maybe us growing up or being kids ourselves. Because a lot of the people, like you said earlier, a lot of our parents didn't know how to give it because their parents say sweep it under the rug, ignore it, act like it didn't happen. So many of us grew up under that lineage. Now we're in a position right now where, okay, if I recognize that I have somebody who does not have the capacity, some people have the conversation, but not the capacity. Know what seeds you're dealing with. You don't have the capacity to deal with me on this level. Therefore, why, if you don't want to learn how to go to the next level, then you're not the right one. Some people are so stuck that they want you to come down to their level and stay where they at.
But wait a minute. But let's go back to your situation from last week.
Oh, go for it.
You said they're not the one.
True.
So get on, right?
True.
But you didn't leave.
No,
right?
I did not.
You didn't leave. And see, that's what happens with most people because either they done got in good sexually, and so now they start to hope. So we start hoping that the person will change and hoping that the person will do something differently and hoping, and then years are passing by, right? And so sometimes either you didn't link with this person sexually, or the biggest one of all is we did now linked up with trauma bonds. Trauma bonds are real. Okay, true. We both went through this, and so I feel pity for you. I feel sorry for you, and I know what it's like to be left. So I'm not going to leave you. I'm going to hang in there with you. And how long are you going to hang?
And a lot of us like to go fix.
You know this person does not have the capacity. And even if they had the capacity, you're not even sure if they would give it to you.
Very true. A lot of us like fixing situations too. What were we taught? Go fix the problem. You will see somebody, a good, wholesome person, and bypass them to say, you ain't broken enough. I don't want you. I want the one that's been broken. That one right there has been broken. And I can fix it. And you see that more often than a lot more women. Men do it too, but you see it more often than a lot of women too, because they want projects. A lot of women want projects a lot of times. So if they ain't got no project.
When you find a woman that what you call wants a project, it's because she doesn't want to deal with her own shit.
There you go.
So it's easier for me.
Tasha, and she want to control. See, a lot of times the ones who look for the projects know good and well they can be in control because you need me, you broken, and I'm smart enough to recognize your flaws and brokenness. So I'm also smart enough to manipulate them.
Wow. Hey, that's a deep situation. So when we get to this part, because I know we drifted. So my fault, y'all, my fault. When we get to the part that we recognize that a person is going through the damage, right? You've been damaged. And then you get to a point where you start afflicting other people to push them away, to protect yourself. And then we start cutting off people. And I have been guilty of this. I have cut off the right people and stayed around the wrong because I look at it now where I recognize that that's all I was taught. The wrong is right. The right is wrong. And it's all wrong. So now that's another part of when you go through that anger too, because when you look at the person who's cultivated you, the person who taught you, you don't know nothing. You're supposed to listen to me. And a lot of parents sometimes become forceful, and the ones that grow will come and apologize, say, baby, I didn't know, I truly apologize. They are getting to a point where they're willing to recognize, but you got some people that will sit there and fight you tooth and nail to say, no, you a lie. You a lie. That's your fault. That's your fault. No, they'll fight you all the way to their death to just prove that they wasn't wrong, opposed to admitting I was wrong in this situation.
When you go back and you say you cut off the right people and stayed around the wrong, is it because the wrong people made you feel needed?
No, that's what I was taught. That's what I keep on bringing up. I bring it up from a psychological aspect of it, of being mentally programmed, mentally broken from a child. That's my dialogue. And when I bring that up, people look at me like, oh, no, you should be better. You should be better. There are some mechanisms that you have that I don't have. For instance, a person who's seen a good father that took care of home, I never seen it. Never been disciplined by a man. Never seen a man come and pay bills. I've never seen a man sit there and guide the children. I've never seen a man protect. I've never felt protected. Never in my life. So I'm looking for, what am I supposed to do? What does the protection look like? My mother taught me as much as she could, but then I'm dealing with her hurt too. So now I become the trash can for her hurt, and it's no diss to my mom.
It's so many
broken.
layers. This conversation can go. I'm gonna say this. This conversation can go so many ways, because you said a good father. I have my father up on a pedestal, right? Him and my mother married 37 years before his death, right? My dad was the ideal dad. It wasn't until adulthood that I realized my dad was a perfect father in my eyes, but he was a horrible husband. You get what I'm saying? Because he had another woman.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So he had, and this is why I started respecting my mother as a woman and not looking at her as just my mother. Because yeah, he took care of home. She didn't have to work. He took care of everything. But the cost of that was her pride. The cost of that was her knowing that when her husband left, he was going to be with another woman.
True.
You know what I'm saying? And he implanted in my head, as long as a man take care of home and take care of the kids, you don't question about what he do in the street.
But
as long as he doesn't disrespect you in your house, you let that man go in peace. As long as he's taking, that's not right, because that set me up to never trust a man. To always have my own, and I was entering into relationships with 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You get what I'm saying?
This is why healing starts with one of two things.
Okay.
Breaking curses, cutting ties. I recommend people to cut ties first, because some of the ties that you cut will then link you to some of the curses you'll have to break. You
That's
have
another.
to cut ties with some of the things that people have said, even and we will mistake them for, oh, I got to cut ties with them. No, you have to cut ties with what they gifted you. So you don't have to look at your dad as he's not a good man. He just wasn't the type of man you would want.
Right.
It might have been all right for her, but this ain't gonna work for me. You see what I'm saying? I told you guys about my mother. My mother was 26 years old and told me, hey, if a man say he love you, he lying. She ain't say except your daddy. So when my daddy said, I love you, and I was 7 years old and he said, I love you, I was like,
yeah.
Because my mama said you lying. Right. But at 26 years old, would I listen to a person? Would I understand she was broken at 26? Would I really take their advice and just, you know what I'm saying? No, I wouldn't. But that was my mother at the time. So I've had to disconnect from what some of the things that my mama, and other people have told me, because I had to understand they're human and they were hurting too.
Exactly.
And can I? And the thing is, have you ever seen a big ball of hay? You got to keep sifting to get to the bottom. A lot of the stuff that happened with us as child and through our life, we got to start sifting to get to the bottom. Yeah. And they always say, what, chew the meat, spit out the bones. I never understood that till I got older. Yeah. But a lot of the things where you got to really sift through, okay, what did my mama do right? What did my daddy do wrong? With so on and so on. I never knew that my father was broken the way he was. But everybody bashed my dad, bashed him, never gave him an opportunity. Nobody ever took their foot off his neck. So therefore, he continued the same process. My mother was the go-to, and everybody, she gonna fix the problem. So now I am encouraged to let people keep their foot on my neck, and I'm encouraged to be the go-to to fix other people's problems. And now that suppresses you even more. So now I gotta chew the meat. What's the meat? My mom taught me you need to do this to work. You need to make sure you maintain. All the stuff she taught me was positive. So I had to overlook the hurt. I had to get past that part. And now I got to get to the point where now I'm dealing with my dad. I didn't know he had all the issues because nobody would ever talk about his story. He never had a chance to defend himself. So when his son, start talking about not only the stuff I was dealing with, but the stuff I recognized he was dealing with. Do you know my dad broke down crying? I've never seen my dad cry. He broke down crying and he said, "You're the only one that ever paid attention." I'm a grown man. So
can I say this? Oftentimes what happened, And the reason why we're having these conversations now is because when you have a generation and they tuck things and they suppress things and all of that, it only comes up in the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why many of us, just like you, some of the things you just described about your dad are some of the same things you're going through.
True.
And because it was tucked away, it was suppressed, so they thought, but it came out in the actions. It's going to come out.
Very
okay.
True.
Anything you bury alive is going to rise. It's going to. And so as a result, it just rises in a different generation. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so ultimately it becomes, okay, you never saw a father. So what is the thing to do then? Be what you wanted to see.
What?
Be what that picture was in your mind. So if you got a picture of what you thought it had to be, right? So, or you know what you feel is right to be now that you're a man and you've come into your own to some degree and you're starting to embrace healing. So then be that man so you break that curse.
Let me bring this up really quick, and I'm not trying to. It's not a bashing moment, but I'll use as an example. Is I watch my mom used to fight my dad head up. I never wanted to get with women, so I don't fight women and children. So my mom would fight my dad head up, just go in on him. My dad fighting my mom. I'm physically fighting. And I got to a point, I don't want a woman like that, but I chose women like that. And then my sisters, okay, they're great people, but they chose men that would beat on them. So it's unconscious. A lot of it is unconscious, what our choices are. And this is what I mean when we get to the point that we start healing. So that's why I bring up the part about my mentor. My mentor, who I trusted to guide me, like, okay, I have nobody else to guide me through this family, through all this rubble, is setting me up to manipulate, because my mom set me up for success, which I didn't know.
But it goes back to what Zakiya was saying when she made the point of going to what's normal to us. That was your norm. You know what I'm saying? It was familiar. So
unconscious, yes.
Yeah, so it's familiar. So that's why that's what you was
and not only that, were you even well enough and healthy enough to identify whether your mentor had the tools? Because if you step back, you understand that just from some of the things that you have shared in the past 3 weeks, you needed somebody who not only knew about business, but you needed somebody who could help with foundational relationships and healing in that regard. You needed somebody who could help with intimate relationships and healing in that regard. Those are all issues that have to be unpacked separately and differently. And if we're not careful, we'll find one person that may be excelling financially and think that they have all the answers in other areas too, not understanding that some of the multi-million-dollar people of this world, some of that 3% of this world, can't figure out love for nothing.
Which is very true. And so let me interject this with what you were saying about as far as the mentoring. Like I was saying before, okay, if I'm set up for success, how can I give you this analogy? If a person give you a car that you know has a great engine, and then it's spray painted, all you gotta do is drive it, right? A lot of people want that from other people. They want you to be fixed and well put together. My mother put me together as well as she could. But the mentor told me, your mother didn't do it, I did it. But let me finish this point really quick. So I myself grew up angry now because I come to the point, my mom's passed away now, that my mother set me up. So when you say, why didn't you do this and do that? Because I was trained as a child. Do you realize how many people have been conditioned from childhood to adulthood? And that's a mental struggle a lot of people go through a lot of times. So yes, I can excel over here and do great things, but like you both just said, the healing, a lot of us didn't know how to heal or even cut off because you don't have no other support. And people use that against you. When you have no other support, they will use, I'm the only one you have. That's why everything fails around you. That's why everybody falls apart. Abusive relationships, you both brought that up before too.
But that's why you have to be willing to go. This is why you have to understand that nobody is your everything, right? When I sit at any table, I always have more than one option. Okay. And I taught my daughter, you never ever sit at any table. I don't care what table it is. I don't care if it's a job. I don't care if it's a car. I don't care if it's a house. I don't care if it's a relationship. I always have another option because sometimes that option is me. See, a person can't dangle them being your only option in your face if you got you.
Mm-hmm.
See, the only time they can dangle that in your face is if you afraid to be by yourself.
But when you don't know what that looks like, though.
If you tell me, because if you tell me I'm all you got, I'm gonna change that.
But listen to the dialogue from the level of having. If y'all, I know I'm drifting us way off, But if you've never had support, that's what I keep going back to. It's so many people in this world that never had that. I'm telling you, never had the support. That's a breaking part.
But so, you can't say that you never had support, but then say that my mother set me up for success.
To set me up for success, to say this is how you work. I'm still in the church.
That's still support. That's support.
That's support. It's just not what you envisioned it
to be. So where I fell over here. So okay, let's go through the dialogue really quick. So this is how you work. You go here, take this trade, still have this, still hustle, right? So I got the hustle mentality. If you got an opportunity to go excel, do it. Now I go into the church realm. You're supposed to accept anything, let anybody do anything. My mom's in the church. Let them get over on you. Let it happen. So now it's misconstrued is what I'm trying to tell you. That's why I gave the analogy earlier about digging through the hay, trying to get to the ground of it. Okay, yes, I was set up here. Well, and I'm having to try to piece this together with the 5,000 piece Legos.
But that's what Monique was just pointing out when she said no one person is your everything. So just because a person is good with finances, that don't mean they can mentor you in relationships or love, and vice versa. So your mother gave you the key to how to make sure that the finances was always there. Take up trades, work with your hands. Know this, so you always have a stream of income. But she couldn't prepare you with the relationship aspects of how you needed to maneuver in relationships. So that's where another mentor would have had to come into play to mentor you in that. That's what she was pointing out.
Which should.
And this is why I told you we need 4 people at least. We need 1 over us to pour into us. We need 2 side by side, so that when we look to the left or look to the right because we're distracted, they can say, nope, focus. And then we need 1 person that we're pouring into, because if not, your capacity gets too full from the person pouring into you. So ultimately what I'm saying is you can't just have 1 person in your circle. Like, for instance, yesterday I had somebody that I could go pour out to, pray with, and lay things out with in one capacity. Then I have somebody else I can talk to in this capacity. You have to have different, a multifaceted circle so that when you need different things, you don't have 1 person saying, just come through me. I'm the only person. I help you. You always pay attention to the people that want to take credit for your success or anything related to you.
Now listen to me. Listen to me. This chick, when at this point, now I know. Now I know. At the time, I did not know, and I had to teach myself this. That is a hard lesson, where most people don't even get that. Look at a lot of young ladies, and I'm drifting a little bit. A lot of young ladies choose men because they never had the right man to approve them. The one to approve, to show them this is what you choose. This is what to look out for. So if you've never had a man tell you that this is wrong, they don't even know what the validation look like. So they just go choose anything. Some of them do, some of them don't have it. A lot of it is my issue. Now I recognize, and that's where a lot of my anger was. So when but now I had to learn how to cut off and not feel guilty for cutting off. Not feel guilty, because a person make you feel guilty when they know they should have been cut off a long time ago. And a lot of people.
See, we got to go into relationships with expectations. Okay. And I said I was going to talk about this. I got to hit it on TikTok because
go for it.
We number one, we got to have some expectations. We got to expect some hard conversations to happen in this relationship. So, you got to expect it. Okay. You got to expect change to happen in this relationship. Okay. And we have to also expect the fact that maybe we may not be in the same capacity or in any capacity at any point. You know what I'm saying? I had a friend for 25 years. Okay. And because of the different changes of life that we had gone through, we had done well at weathering many of them. When we got to year, 15, 16, it was like, but when we got somewhere around 2025, there was some things that I couldn't, the Bible said, how can we walk together except we agree? And we was disagreeing here, baby. It was like, look here, you can't keep doing this because that's agitating my spirit. And it got to the point where the things started to annoy me, to the point where it was starting to change how I felt about her. And so we had to have a conversation, and we decided that we weren't going to walk in that way anymore. Here's my thing. If you go into the relationship saying, sometimes, or just knowing that sometimes some of our friendships weren't meant to be forever. Some of our relationships weren't meant to be forever. Some of these things weren't meant to be, some of them are just connections, business relationships. We be so butt hurt because something ends, but we don't ever stop to think that maybe our capacity was over or our time was over for that thing, and it's opening us up for something new.
Very, very true. Very true. Let me ask you both this question really quick. What does your family support look like, Zakiya?
Oh, it's amazing, because I have family. To me, family is not who I share my blood with. It's who I share my life with. So if you would ask me what my relative support looks like, I would tell you it's a totally different picture from what my family support looks like.
Okay, got you. How long?
I build my family circle.
So how long what's the most consistent with your family circle?
What you mean?
The years, the stretch. How many years?
Some of them have been life. It's been for life, because some of them are really relatives, but they're relatives and family. So some of them are 40 years, some of them are 20 years, some of them are 2 years, so
this is what you've always known to look for.
No. One of the closest person to me.
Okay.
We didn't get along.
Okay.
We didn't get along, but guess what? She was always the one to tell me the truth.
Which is dope.
And that's part of the reason why we didn't get along, because I didn't want to hear that.
Okay. Got it.
I didn't want to hear what she had to say, but that was the one that told me the truth, flat-footed, didn't have a problem with it. She was the closest thing when it comes to truth to an enemy. See, an enemy will tell you all about you. Your friend will sugarcoat it. Your enemy, sour.
Hands down.
You get it today.
Down. So
she told me the truth, and it would drive me crazy because I don't want to hear that.
So we
didn't get along for years because I didn't appreciate it. But that's why I tell you, sometimes you come to appreciate it depending on the level of maturity in your life. I came to appreciate that truth.
Which is dope. What about you, Tosh? What does your family circle look like?
Strong.
Very strong.
Very strong.
So out of both of your relationships, have people ever tried to play you and your friends and your family against each other?
Yeah.
How did it work?
Yeah. It worked for those who, because I have a saying that if somebody can come and tell you about me, then I'm gonna let them.
Okay.
So if you don't, because I'm a firm believer that I give the benefit of the doubt. Can't nobody come and tell me, Clevonne was doing this, this, and the third. I'm gonna go first of all on the Clevonne that I know.
Okay.
And then second of all, I'm gonna give Cleon the benefit of the doubt and say, let me holler at you, Cle, because I heard something that kind of didn't sit well with me, and I just want to know what happened, because maybe I'm only hearing a piece of it. See, if you quote one scripture, you know what I'm saying, and don't tell me the background of the chapter, I might look at that scripture and be like, jiggle what? Jiggle, you know what I'm saying? Right. So, but if you tell me the whole context of it, oh, he swung on somebody, because they was trying to snatch his child. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
See, most people won't tell that.
Tell me he swung on somebody. You ain't tell me why. So that's why I give a benefit of the doubt based on what I know about the person. You see what I'm saying? Now, if a person doesn't do that for me, you just let me know where we stand. And see, when I don't know where I stand in your life, I go stand somewhere else.
So let me ask you this. Out of the percentage, out of 100%, what's the percentage that's still standing with you?
Out of the family?
Your family circle?
Probably 89, 90%.
That's dope. What about you, Tosh?
98%.
It's only 2. One was killed, so it's only 2 that from the long haul. One is it just was a wrap. You know what I'm saying? The person was wounded. She got wounded, and as a result, she started to see everything differently, and it was nothing I can do, because you're not getting ready to make me pay for somebody else's mistakes. See, sometimes we have to opt out. Okay. The second person was killed, so they're not here.
So.
What point are you trying to get at? You don't have it.
I'm trying to get there. Yeah. The point I'm making is, I'm trying to get there. I'm not trying to get there. I'm getting there. I'm getting there
with your support.
With the support and finding it, because like I told you when I told you all earlier, there are some people that I know where the parents encourage their children to go to prison. The mama went to prison, did a stint, got out as well. This is the normal thing, and they all get out and fight each other head up. That's the normal thing. So when I'm telling you about this, is that breaks you so psychologically that I can never give you the words to understand how it affects. And that's a lot of the coping of the healing that I want to interject too. I really want us to touch on that.
Okay.
Well, you don't have to be totally healed.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing. Here's how you get there. The 5 people you're around most, and I've said this before, impact 5 major areas of your life.
Okay.
Your goals, your thoughts,
Awesome.
your beliefs, your income, your weight. Your
Okay.
goals, your thoughts, your beliefs, your income, your weight. That means you stop and look at the 5 people that are around you.
Okay.
Do you want their influence?
Okay. Awesome. Good point.
If you don't want them to hit you in these 5 areas, if you don't like the way, and I'm not saying that they got to be 36, 24, 36, no, but can they strengthen you in some of these areas?
Okay.
If they can't strengthen you in at least 3 of the 5 areas, they don't need to be in your backstage. They might need to be in the front row, or they might need to be in the balcony. You have to learn how to categorize, because we don't cut everybody off. We just have to replace some people over here.
Got to
You got to
position
go
them.
over here. You got to go over there. And so you don't cut everybody off because you're not sure if that person was meant to be your assignment or you're their assignment. Sometimes you fool around and cut off the person that was pouring into you. Because you don't like what they got to say.
Very true.
Ultimately, you have got to settle some things in your spirit, my friend, because you have got to stop saying, I didn't get the chance to heal, because you got it now. This is a new year. This is a new opportunity for you to release the hurt and the pain and the anger that you have, from the church, from the family, all of that, because it built you and it made you who you are today. Even if it hurt, it made you who you are today. And that's something that you don't have to, you don't have to apologize for, but you can find benefit and value in if you release the pain. Remember the lesson and make it a blessing, but release the pain.
Let them know, sis. You got them over here tearing up.
No, I'm not.
Yes, no, I'm
not. Real G's don't cry. Real G's. Real G's don't cry. Hey, look, this is some great information. And the reason why I'm sitting here playing this devil's advocate with you both, and even just putting myself out there, is because of the fact that we all come from different states, different places, and we're on different playing fields. But how do we bring it all together as one? So this is your playing field, and mine. But there's different people who are watching us who are on all these different playing fields. So if we only talk about a wholesome family, well, I didn't have a wholesome family. If we talk about having friendships, well, I don't know what that looks like. So we were talking about, how do you get to the point where I don't cut off the right people and so on, so I can start healing? And that's what we want to encourage. We definitely want to encourage people to heal. I know we're way over time as well, because you both are dope. So Zakiya, please let the people know where they can find you, follow you as well.
You can find me at Zakiya Monique Speaks on all platforms, with the exception of YouTube. YouTube is Relationship TV with Zakiya Monique.
Okay.
And that's where the longer teachings are. And yeah, that's what we do.
Let me ask you this.
Instagram, TikTok is at Zakiya Monique Speaks.
If somebody wants to book a coaching session, because I've had people reach out that are interested in receiving the life coaching that you offer, how can they reach you?
They can reach me. Okay, so life coaching is tricky because people want 1 session or 4 sessions, and they want me to unpack 30 years worth of stuff. So I stopped offering one-to-ones because of that. However, I do have group coaching, or I have coaching where we do long-term.
Okay.
So I'm going to reactivate that, so they can just hit my link tree and on TikTok. So if you go to TikTok and just go to my link, I'm going to reactivate it and we can go from there. But I really don't like it because people think that they can get 1 session with me and
be healed overnight.
Unpack all my baggage. Not today.
You know what? And the truth is,
and also she has some good reading material about breaking soul ties.
Yes.
Check that out.
Definitely. What would those books be?
Underneath the tree link.
Everything's under the tree, link tree. So anything you ever need from me is always under the link tree, and it's always most current. So that's where I usually keep everything. That's in the link in my bio on Instagram. It's in the link in my bio on TikTok. I usually just keep the link tree updated so you can get the book. I have Killer Connections. The book, you can get that at www.killerconnections.com. I'm working on part 2 of that, finishing up the red flags, relationship red flags. You can get that. So it's a lot. Yeah, I'm getting ready to work on a relationship red flags with friends and family as well. The friends and family edition, because we need that too, because we missing them flags with them too.
Yes.
And get hurt. And then we ain't talking to each other for 50 years. and all that type of stuff. We got to cut that out because this is way too much going on for us to be huffing and puffing and mad at somebody for something. And then after a while, you don't even remember why y'all mad.
Man, so look, today is January 1st, 2022. This is a new year, new opportunity, new day for everybody who's looking for newness. Guess what? And you have something that the sun and moon don't have, a choice. So today you want to make sure that you make a choice to go a different path. So we want to inspire you, encourage you to start healing, start dealing with what you're dealing with. For me, I've already started the journey. So I thank you both for just the reassurance as well. So a lot of you need to start the journey. You don't build the World Trade Center in one day. It took some years. It took some time. Just start building. Hello. Dig the dirt. So we love you. We thank you. We appreciate you, sis. Thank you for jumping on here with us. You are so dope, dog. And till we all meet again, we'll see you again. There's no feelings, just facts.
Have a good one. Thank you for having me.
I know we went over time. Y'all was